Dear students, welcome to online English class on behalf of Araihazar Pilot Model Govt. High School, and I am Md.Maniruzzaman, assistant teacher in English. Subject, of course, English. Today's subject is English, and from the grammar point, today's lesson is voice or introduction to voice. Okay. So first of all, we should know what is voice. What is voice? We know that voice is the form of a verb. Voice is the form of a verb in the sentence that shows whether the subject acts or is acted upon. I again say, voice is the form of a verb. Voice is the form of a verb in the sentence that shows whether the subject acts or is acted upon. Okay. From the definition of the voice, we see that once subject is active or subject itself acts, and again the action of a verb is done upon the subject, acted upon the subject. Here there are two sentences written on whiteboard, like I eat rice. Here subject acts, and the action of eat verb, is accomplished by I, and in another sentence the action of verb is done upon the subject. That means rice is eaten. ভাতকে খাওয়া হয় in বাংলা, ভাতকে খাওয়া হয়. Here in this sentence আমি ভাত খাই in Bangla, and in this sentence rice is eaten, ভাতকে খাওয়া হয়. That means the action of verb is done upon this subject, and here this subject itself has done the action of the verb eat. Okay. So in English language, we express our mood. In two ways. The same mood in two ways. Like I eat rice is eaten by me. The meaning of the two sentences are the same. And here we see the verb eat. In first sentence, the verb eat, and in the second sentence, eat has been changed into is eaten. And in the definition, this is said that the form of a verb, voice is the form of a verb in the sentence that shows whether the subject acts or is acted upon. Okay. In English language, we express our same mood in two ways, like this sentence. So we can say that in English language, voices are two kinds, or there are two kinds of voices. There are two kinds of voices. One is active voice and another is passive voice. One is active voice or another is passive voice. Like here, we can call the first sentence active voice. Active. And the second sentence is in the passive voice. So here I can write here passive. This is active mode and this is passive mode. Dear students, you have already learned that what is voice and how many kinds of voices are. There are two kinds of voice, active voice and passive voice. Now we should know what is active voice and what is passive voice. I have already cleared you. After that, I like to again clear it to you that what is active voice. What is active voice? When the subject itself in the sentence, when the subject itself in the sentence does the action of a verb, is called active voice. Is called active voice. I again say, when the subject itself in the sentence acts or does the action of a verb, is called active voice. And when the action of a verb in sentence is done upon the subject, when the action of a verb in the sentence is done upon the subject, is called passive voice. Is called passive voice. Okay, you can write the definition of the voice, the active voice and passive voice in your notebook or in your note khata. I again define the active voice and passive voice. When the subject itself in the sentence does the action of a verb, is called the active voice. And when the action of a verb in the sentence is done upon the subject, is called passive voice. Like, I eat rice and rice is eaten by me. Here, the form of eat is changed, it eaten in the passive voice. Dear students, you have already learned what is active voice, what is passive voice, or the types of voice. But this is our main target, not main target. Our main target is to change the voice. Our main target is to change the voice. because in your exam question, transformation will appear in the question paper. Transformation. That means there you can change that. You have to change the sentence from active to passive or passive to active. So we should now do the change of voice. So we should now do the change of the voice. Today, we shall learn to change the active voice into passive voice. Dear students, voice change active to passive or passive to active is limited or is done for three kinds of sentence. Three kinds of sentence. Dear students, I again say voice change is done for three kinds of sentence, and they are assertive sentence. Number one. Number two, interrogative sentence. Number three, imperative sentence. Number three, imperative sentence. Yes, students, I again say voice change is done for three kinds of sentence or limited into three kinds of sentence. They are assertive sentence, interrogative sentence, and imperative sentence. Today, we shall see or we shall read or we shall learn. Today, we shall learn the general rule, the usual rule of doing passive voice from active voice of assertive sentence. I again say, dear students, today we shall learn the general or usual rules of doing passive voice from active voice of only assertive sentence. Active to passive. Active to passive voice. Active to passive voice. In which sentence? Assertive sentence. Assertive sentence. Only for assertive sentence, active to passive voice, the rules of active to passive voice. Now I am writing on your board. And you should see the rules. Number one, when you want to change the active voice into passive, you first do the rule number one, that you should make the subjective form you should make the subjective form of the object of the given active voice. Here, look at the board. Subjective form of the object. Number one, subjective form of the object of the given active voice. Number one, you should write the subjective form of the object of the given active voice. Number two, you should write auxiliary verb. You should write auxiliary verb according to the tense of the given sentence. Auxiliary verb or helping verb. Auxiliary verb. You should remember here. You should write extra auxiliary verb if there is no auxiliary verb in the main structure of the tense of active voice. You should write auxiliary verb. Without auxiliary verb, we cannot do the form of passive voice. You should write auxiliary verb according to the tense of the given sentence. Auxiliary verb, of course, according to the tense. Okay. Number three, you should write the past participle form of the main verb, the given sentence. You should write the past participle form of main verb. Main verb we can write PP within bracket. That means past participle form. Main verb, past participle form of the given sentence. Main verb of given sentence. Given active voice or given sentence. Okay. Now I have to erase the top writing. In number 3, I have written main verb past participle form of the given sentence or active voice. Number 4, rule number 4, doing passive voice. For doing passive voice of active or assertive sentence, rule number 4, you should write a preposition. You should write a preposition by, to, for, with or with. You should write by, you should write by, with, to, for. You should write number 4 in fourth step. A preposition should be written by, with, to, for. I can explain these prepositions when you should write by, with, to, or for. Before a person, meaning in Bangla, dara, that means dara orthe, ব্যক্তির আগে by. Before a person, meaning in Bangla dara, by. Before a thing, that means বস্তুর আগে with. দ্বারা অর্থে in বাংলা কে or a, কে বা এ অর্থে ব্যক্তির আগে before a person, to, and জন্য অর্থে in বাংলা জন্য অর্থে before a person ব্যক্তির আগে for you should write. তোমাকে লিখতে হবে, আমি বাংলায় বলছি, দ্বারা অর্থে ব্যক্তির আগে সাধারণত by, বস্তুর আগে with, কে বা এ অর্থে টু এবং জন্য অর্থে for লিখবে। ওকে, নাম্বার 5 the objective form. Here the objective, you should write the objective form of the subject. The objective form of the subject of the given sentence, the given active voice. Okay, the objective form of the subject of the given active voice or given sentence. Dear students, you should remember that in the passive voice, the main verb should always be past participle form, must be past participle form always in the passive voice, main verb. Okay, now we will use or apply these rules in doing passive voice from active voice. That means I am giving an example. She writes something. Dear students, look at the board and you can see she writes something. She একটা কিছু লিখছে। Here subject she, write verb and his main verb, something object. If there is another word except subject verb object, these three major element, that means subject, verb, object. If there will happen that extra or additional more words, then you should write the extra or more words without subject or object. You should write those extra words or extension of the sentence before preposition, before writing preposition in the passive voice or after the main verb. I again say, if there is extension or extra words without or except subject, verb, object, you should write the extension or the other words, extra words after the main verb in the passive voice. Okay, now we shall do this active voice. This is an active voice. This sentence is in the active voice. Now we should change into passive voice. This is active voice. Active. And now first we should write the subjective form of the object, something, and the same thing, something. The same form of object, subjective form, something. This is present indefinite tense, and you will read, of course you will read in the passive voice what are the auxiliary verbs, you should write what are the auxiliary verbs, you should write, you will read the auxiliary verbs from your books. Like in present indefinite tense, the auxiliaries are in the passive voice. Of course, in the passive voice, the auxiliaries are am, is, or are. Am, is, or are. And these auxiliaries should be written according to the subject's number, person. Number and person. Here something am, is, or are. From am, is, or are we should write something is, because something is third person singular number. Something is. Now main verb, right, written. Something is written, something is written. Number 3, number 1, number 2, and the rule number 3 has already been written. And now number 4 was a preposition. And we have seen subject is person, and before person we shall write by, and rule number 5 was this objective form of the subject, Okay. Something is written by her. Okay. We can write another example. Here is number A, and we can write another sentence in number B. And I am trying to write with extension or double object. Shimon gave me a pen. Okay, Shimon gave me a pen. This is a past indefinite tense. This sentence is in the past indefinite tense. Okay, and in the past indefinite tense, in passive voice, you should write auxiliary was or were. Was or were. Auxiliary was or were. You can read or you can see the auxiliary form of the passive voices in your grammar book. In your grammar book, the chapter of voice. Okay. Shimul gave me a pen. This is a object, a pen, and me also another object. You can choose. You can choose any object from this sentence, but if you write a person as a subject, if you write the person as subject, then another object, a pen, the rest object, a pen, you should write after the main verb. Or if you write the thing, object, a pen as a subjective form, as a subject, then you should write preposition to before writing the person, object, me. Before me, you should write to, and me should be written after, of course, main verb. Okay, now we will see the passive voice. In both where we will do the passive voice of this active voice. I first person singular, I was, and then main verb past participle, given, I was given, the rest object, a pen after the main verb, a pen, I was given a pen. Now, by, before person, by, Shimul, the objective form of Shimul is the same Shimul. Okay, in another way, if you use the thing as a subject, a pen, a pen was given. A pen was given. Then you should write another object, me. But you should write to before writing me. Given to me. A pen was given to me by Shimon. Okay, we have seen the two ways of using double object in the passive voice. I was given a pen by Shimul, or a pen was given to me by Shimul. Okay. And here we have completed, or we have done the general rules of doing passive voice of assertive sentence. But there are some exceptionals of these rules of assertive sentence being passive voice. And today here I like